Here's the thing. How someone decides to paint you in their own little world has nothing to do with who you are as a person. Every person interprets reality through their own lens. We interpret interactions with people based off of our own past experiences, our own trauma, our own insecurities, our own emotions, as well as our own expectations. So all these versions that may have been created are not actually who you are, okay? They're just a reflection of someone else's beliefs. And the moment you try to change those beliefs, or the moment you try to paint yourself in this person's story, is the moment you lose the plot. It is the moment you lose a hold of who you are, because now you're bending your values and your morals and your beliefs to fit into the story that you were not meant to fit in anyway. And at the end of it all, you remain a side character in your own story, trying to be the hero in another person's story. And I understand sometimes it does really toil with your mentality, with your own self-esteem. You tend to actually believe those versions that people have created about you, because we're humans at the end of the day. We have feelings, okay? You could genuinely be trying to be good, but if someone decides not to see the good in you, then they won't, no matter how hard you try, okay? So firstly, you need to understand how people come up with these images or with these paintings of you in their own story. One way that you might turn up as a villain in someone else's story, or one way one person might paint you as the villain in their story, might be based off of their own past experiences and trauma. Maybe let's say you got in an altercation or in a fight with this person, and so they compare you with the experiences that they may have had in the past, okay? Maybe they compare you to a person who might have previously exploited them or previously abused them emotionally or verbally in the past. So because in the past they had recently learned to build this wall to protect themselves from these people who used to emotionally or verbally abuse them, you will also fall under the same category as them, because maybe you acted in a similar way, even though it was not in a harmful way, but you just reacted similarly. They will refer to you as the villain, because in their own experiences, villains act like the way you acted, so they will paint you as the villain. Another reason why someone might paint you as the villain is because they do not want to own up to their own mistakes. Because let's be honest, sometimes it's better to rewrite history when accountability seems a little too heavy. Say you got into an altercation with someone and they were entirely the reason, because they may have created this good guy vision to other people. They won't want to ruin that image that they solely put all their sweat and blood into by owning their own mistakes, okay? So they will try to shift the blame, because when they shift the blame in their own mind, they will have a reason not to miss you, or a reason not to own up to their own actions. And sometimes how the human mind works is sometimes it tends to seek validation, okay? So this one particular person might go to another person, to a few more people, and shift the story and turn you into the villain. So you might actually find that from one misunderstanding, you end up having multiple enemies, okay? So every time you try to interact with someone who might have been poisoned by this person whom you had an altercation with, they already have an image with you. They already have an image painted, okay, already before they even get to interact with you. So you might try to create a bond with them, but then remember, they've already been poisoned. So no matter how hard you try to be good, no matter how hard you try to be the good person, they won't see you as the good person, because they've already been poisoned, okay? but eventually everything comes to light, everything does fall in place. You just have to be yourself, okay? Because at the end of the day, the most important relationship you will ever have is the relationship with yourself. You have to make sure that each morning you wake up, you still love yourself. Each morning you wake up, you look into the mirror, you still like yourself. Always put you and the relationship you have with yourself first, because if you do that, eventually people will come around and they'll realize the full truth, and everything will work out in your favor. Now, the last reason that I'm going to give you, someone might decide to paint you as the villain because you might have not met their expectations. You might have set boundaries, and that might look like betrayal in another person's eyes. A good example of this is black tax. Now, if you don't know what black tax is, this is a word used to describe responsibilities put upon the shoulders of children, the financial responsibility placed upon children. And we're calling it black tax because it is very common in African or black households. So when you're growing up in a black household, when you become financially free, financially independent, you are expected to turn back and help the people behind you. And of course, that is a beautiful thing, this responsibility becomes so damaging because now you're not helping out of love, but you are helping out of guilt. Because you might literally not even be having enough resources to help out, but you just have to help out, even if it means you remain with nothing. Because the moment you stop helping out is the moment you be labeled as the villain. You betrayed the family. They've brought you up, they've raised you, they've invested in you. How dare you not help them financially? How dare you not give them all your salary at the end of the month? So initially you might be helping out of love, but as time goes by, you become tired because they are not looking at it as a form of love, but they are looking at it as a form of, as that's what you're supposed to do. So you don't have to complain. That's just the way it's supposed to be. And that is very sad, and that is very damaging. And it actually pulls you 10 years, if not even 50 years back. Because now you won't even have enough funds to invest in your own future, because a lot of funds are going towards trying to help out, trying to help the family so that you don't look like the villain. Now here's where it gets very dangerous. You delay your progress and you postpone your future because you're trying so hard to hold everyone up, and so you're not going to invest in time. You're not going to start that business in time. You're not going to further your education in time. And you are delaying your future. And by the age of 40, you look back and regret everything because you won't have things to your name. You won't have land to your name. Because what? You were pouring all these resources that you had into these people. And these same people that you helped are now the people who will start making fun of you. How is she 40 years old and hasn't even managed to build something for herself? They've forgotten that they are the reason. You poured everything you had. You poured everything in your cup, in their cup, and then you have nothing left anymore. And by the time you realize it, you've forgotten who you are. You've forgotten your truth. You've forgotten your values. You've forgotten what you stand up for and what you live for. Now, the message in this video is, in trying to be a hero in everyone's story, you might sacrifice being the main character in yours. So choose wisely. Would you rather sacrifice being the main character in your own story for being a hero in someone else's story? That is something that will leave you to reflect on. Anyway, that is all for this video. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and subscribe and interact with this video. Also turn your post notification on so you can be notified every time I post a video. From me to you, it's Bye.